Are you tired of using low-quality bags to pick up after your dog? Do you get dog poop all over your hand when cleaning up their mess? What you need is a mutt mitt, a strong 2-ply bag that makes it super-duper easy and hygienic to pick up your dog's waste. Check it out on muttmittsisland.ie. Mutt mitts, better than a bag. Proud sponsor of the Big Bark podcast.
It's the Big Bark with the latest of the canines. The Big Bark, all the doggiest of headlines. With your hosts, Dara, Millie, Roxy and Bruno. They're the kind of dogs that you know.
It's time to talk about health, nutrition, training. Talk with canine professionals, owners and dogs.
It's the Big Bark, all the canine stories for you.
Hello and a big welcome to the Big Bear podcast. I'm your host, Dara Burke, and as always, I'm joined by my canine co-hosts, Bruno, Millie and Roxy. And Roxy, I can see just peeking her head in the door there right now. Come in, say hello. Come here, Roxy. Come here. And she has, I think, I'm assuming it looks like a sock or something that she's after walking away with. I'm not actually sure. Just another day in the house here, Roxy, running away with everything. Being a bulldog. Let's see, what has she done lately? Well, I'm going to be partially blind now. She ate my glasses yesterday. Let's see, what else has she done? 2 electric blankets gone through. And that's on top of the seat belts that she tore through previously. And Dad's couch. His cushions on his couch as she tore through the other night. So, yeah. This puppy is becoming quite an expensive little puppy. I'd love to hear from anyone who has the same types of problems with their own dogs. Bruno has arrived too, because Roxy is annoying the hell out of him here. And Roxy's been very, very mean to poor Bruno. Hi, Burns. Yeah, and you sit down. This is getting off to a great start, but Bruno has come in here to join in, and Roxy's going bye-bye with another plastic bottle. For some reason, plastic bottles, socks, shoes, those are the kind of things that Roxy loves to go for. Anyway, let's see what we got coming up today. So today we're going to be talking a bit about, I believe in Santa Paws, which is our Christmas campaign for 2023, which launched last week, and I'll tell you a small bit about that. We're going to be starting now. I know we mentioned Christmas there, but something else is coming before Christmas, and we're starting kind of our run-up to Halloween segments here. And I tell you one thing, these dogs make a lot of noise. The minute they hear I'm recording, they make a lot of noise, so they do. And Bruno, I don't know what he's trying to do. I think Bruno's trying to take the whole fucking table with him here. But, yeah, so Bruni is, after, I don't know, what in God's name are you doing outside there? Like, I'll tell you, Jesus, you wouldn't want to be, like, wanting pure silence. This wouldn't want to be me saying mass or something with that one there, making all the disruptions outside. Now, look, I'd be the last person in the world to say mass because, well, just take one look at me and you'll know why. Excuse me. So, okay, back to today. We have Samantha Rawson coming up a bit later on. Samantha's going to be telling us, giving us some tips in the run-up to Halloween, like how to kind of get your dog ready for Halloween, given that it is only a few weeks away. And we'll have a similar segment then in 2 weeks from a veterinary standpoint with Dr. Ashleigh Bugler from Tree Vets. And Ashleigh is on to us today as well. Ashleigh is talking all about eye care for your doggies. So that is that's one that I suppose very important, and we'll have a talk about ear care of the ears then next week as well. 2 vital organs in not just like dogs but humans, everyone really. Eyes and ears, you can't really do much without them. And well, like that's pretty much a lot of what we have coming up. It's going to be a much shorter show today because I'm on my hollybobs this week, so that means lots and lots of playtime. So Roxy thinks I know lots of playtime for her, and lots of playtime walkies and all with Bruno and Millie as well. So what have we got up to in the last couple of weeks since I've been on that? So that was last week we were on, wasn't it? Let's see. So Roxy and myself are still doing a bit of hiking. We're trying to get out and about where we can and take her on really long walks, like around 8 to 10k. I'd love to hear from people as well if you have any good suggestions on like hiking spots for an 8-month-old puppy who is the most energetic demon that I've seen in my life, and how to wear her completely out. I'd love to hear tips from people on that, how you do that with your own dogs, where you go to, if there's any like good spots that you'd recommend. Like we've done, oh my god, she's come back with another bottle. We've done Cratloe, we've done Locker. We're looking at a few others maybe as well to see around the Limerick region. But look, Limerick, Clare, I don't know, North Cork, anywhere like that people can think of. Just let us know, and just DM us on Instagram or on Facebook or on the TikTok. DM us on any of those and let us know good spots. Okay, so before I move on to Halloween, I suppose got to talk a bit about... I suppose something that's actually further afield but has already started, and that is our I Believe in Santa Paws campaign for 2023. And that is, well, that means the return of our calendar. And we have launched our website last week for I Believe in Santa Paws. The website is santapaws.thebigbar.ie. And, okay, just to give you an idea of what we're doing this year. So, we dropped the Christmas cards this year. They're gone because as good as the quality was last year, the demand wasn't high enough to justify doing them again this year. We have our calendars again, so get your photos in. If you want your doggies to be included in the calendar, get your photos in on santapaws.thebigbar.ie, and you can also pre-order your calendars now. The calendars at the moment, pre-order price are €10. That will go up to €12 on the 1st of November. Sorry, I'm gasping here. And, okay, so, 2 very good charities that we're raising money for this year. And that is the Haven Rescue over in Tipperary. Great charity. We've raised for them before and delighted to be doing it again for them this year. Also, we are raising once again this year for DSPCA. So, another fantastic charity that we're raising funds for there. Who were huge supporters last year, and delighted to be raising funds for them again this year. So we'll also be doing a raffle later on in the year. So sometime around start of December, we'll be doing a raffle. We have details on that to come. We haven't got any details up really yet, just because it'll take a while to get price lists and everything in, but we're hoping to have that by the first week of November. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just going to see that I'm missing anything there. I don't believe I did. Let's see. Yeah, so that's basically the most very. Yeah, if you want to get your images in, do so before the 25th of October. We are closing the entry day for images on the 25th of October. And oh yes, also we're doing something this year as well, slightly different. On the image form, there is an option to enter your dog into what will be, it'll be a competition. It will only be one dog chosen, but we are going to pick the best image out of the whole lot of every image submitted to be used as our cover photo for our 2024 calendar. So that's a big kind of a big deal, really. We're looking for something like, I suppose, with a really scenic background in it with your dogs. So if you haven't like that, please do submit it. And like you'll know from our kind of our previous calendars that we've done like, say, kind of, I suppose, sunset-y type backgrounds and sunrise and stuff like that with like doggy images, kind of a dog in the front of it. I honestly think Roxy does not like me recording this podcast because she's sitting out there ever since I started recording, and she is just making so much noise. And she was nice and quiet earlier before I started doing this, but Anyway, that's the crack on the I Believe in Santa Paws. So all details are available on our website, santapaws.thebigbark.ie, or you can check out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. So that's pretty much kind of all that, really. So next up, all we're going to do, we're going to talk to Dr. Ashleigh Bugler from Tree Vets all about caring for your dog's eyes, and a bit later on then we'll be chatting with Samantha Rawson about the run up to Halloween. I said I'd give me a little break between talking Christmas and Halloween because, like, God, can't talk about those two things together. Be right back after this. Okay, so we're joined again now today by Dr. Ashleigh Bugler from Tree Vets here in Limerick. And Ashleigh is going to talk to us all about doggies' eyes today, because a lot of dogs have eye conditions, and it could just be something gets into the eye, or there could be goo coming out of the eye. There could be so many different things, but it could be like dogs that go blind. There's so much that can happen with a dog's eyes. So, first of all, Ashleigh, big welcome back to the Big Bark.
Thanks so much, Dara. I love coming on.
Great. Great to have you on, because you always bring a lot of knowledge to for our guests as well, and for supporters, and for, I suppose, for all our listeners as well. So you're going to talk a bit about eye conditions today.
That's it. Yeah, no, I love coming on and love getting out some information, because the more information people have, the better they can look after their dogs. And, you know, it can, like, knowledge is really important and help us prevent things getting worse. So, and just particularly with eyes, like, you know, this isn't specific advice. It's very general stuff. So if you have any concern about anything with your pet's health, or especially, you know, with the eyes, because we only have two eyes and our dogs only have two eyes, if there's anything you're worried about, the best thing is, you know, bring your dog down to the vet, or at least send over some photos over to an email or something like that, and get some advice that way. But it's great to have a kind of an idea of what to look out for. So I thought we'd start with puppies, and then we'll work our way through to adulthood. So I suppose generally dogs' eyesight is different from our eyesight. They kind of see mainly in red and green hues. And they have much better night sight than we do, and a much wider field of vision. But just like us, they do suffer from quite a wide range of eye problems. So one of the most common things, I'll go through a good few things that we see, kind of common issues.
So, sorry, Ashleigh, don't mean to cut across you, but first of all, a lot of people are under this this kind of idea that dogs only see in black and white. So what you're saying is it's more like red and kind of green colours that they're seeing.
That's what we're told, yeah. So they do see more in red and green. So, you know, nowadays there's kind of doggy programs on YouTube and on television that are specifically designed for dogs to watch, and they tend to be kind of, in those kind of colours, and we do see the dogs react better to those. And what's really good to know is that, you know, dogs, they do have a central point of vision, but it's much wider than our line of vision. So remember, they can see much wider out, you know, out on the side. They can see much better than us, and obviously they have brilliant night vision as well. So that's that, yeah. So I suppose just starting with puppies, just starting with puppies. So a common issue that a lot of new puppy owners come in when they only have the puppy a week or two, and their main issue, you know, we often ask them, any issues since you've had your new puppy, is that they notice the eyes are watering. And sometimes when a puppy moves into a new environment, they can have some mild irritation in their eyes and their skin as they meet new allergens that they haven't met before. So a lot of puppies, they spent the first 8 to 10 weeks of their life with their mum. It could have been, in a shed, or in the garage, or under the stairs of the house, but they mainly were with their mum in one enclosed location. Then they move into a common household and they meet normal things in a house, like incense and candles, aerosols and sprays, perfume, stuff like this. And they've never met these kind of things before, and they cause irritation. So for this reason, it is ideal just to keep those kind of airborne fragrances and cleaning products just to a little bit of a minimum for the first few weeks, while a new puppy is just getting used to their new environment, and kind of get them used to that new, household, all those household things nice and slowly. Now, however, if the eyes, if they're watering and they appear painful in any way, such as they're blinking more than normal, they're squinting, they're rubbing at the eyes, then it would be very important to have these eyes checked by a vet. Sometimes puppies, they can have abnormal hairs or eyelashes that they were born with in abnormal locations, and they can rub on the eye, causing discomfort and also possibly damaging the surface of the eye. And sometimes these hairs can be microscopic, and you might even need to be referred to an ophthalmologist to have these diagnosed and treated. And I suppose another common finding with puppies maybe is that one eye is painful or red and the other eye is fine. If we see this, we're always a little bit suspicious that maybe a curious puppy has been sticking their head into a bush, or they might have got a seed or some kind of foreign body stuck under the eyelid. Or if there's other dogs, and particularly cats in the house, it could be a scratch on the eye from another pet. Cats in particular find puppies quite annoying. So if you have a kind of a cat in the house who's the matriarch, and they have a puppy following them around and annoying them, they might give them a swipe. So we need to be careful of this. And a cat can do quite a lot of damage to a puppy's eye. So anything like that needs immediate attention, because an injury to the surface of the eye is very painful and can get worse if it's not treated. And then I suppose some puppies, we know puppies, they have, lots of extra skin on their face, a lot of these puppies, and they can have issues with their eyelids being too big or too small. So if the eyelids are particularly rolling in, this causes irritation because the eyelashes on the outside are then rubbing on the eye. Now, sometimes we can do a temporary stitch just to until their kind of skull fills out and they fill out their face. But sometimes it needs permanent surgical solutions depending on the age and the breed of the puppy. So again, this needs to be addressed ASAP, because eyelashes could be rubbing on the eye and painful and causing ulceration to the surface of the eye. So anything like that, we need to keep an eye on that and get that sorted out for them. And then I suppose as puppies are moving more into their teenage phases and into adolescence, we are seeing kind of this thing, mild conjunctivitis developing. Now, we're not totally sure what the cause is, but again, we suspect it to be related to allergens in the environment. And sometimes they present with conjunctivitis and we treat that, and then it comes back again. And a lot of that can actually just be treated with daily eye lubricant. And a lot of puppies will grow out of that by the time they get 2 years of age, as long as there's no other issues kind of underlying that. I suppose just to reiterate, with all the above issues, they can all look very similar. So it's very important to have a vet to examine those eyes to make sure we pinpoint what exactly is causing the problem and get it treated before it becomes a big issue. And then I suppose moving on to adult dogs then, I suppose on a day-to-day basis, the most common condition we see in dogs with their eyes is what's called corneal ulceration. So that basically means damage to the first layer on the outside of the eye called the cornea, the little clear bit on the front of the eye. And this can happen in a lot of different ways, but a lot of it is like in the puppies, if the eye is scratched by another animal when playing, or possibly if running through bushes, etc. Then there is, some dogs are more at risk to this than others. So our brachycephalic breeds, the breeds with the short faces and with their eyes that kind of bulge out a little bit more out of their globe. So the pugs, bulldogs, the boxers and cavaliers, their eyes are a little bit more further forward than dogs with a longer nose. And this makes the risk of ulcers higher, and the eye is less protected by the skull and it's more exposed. So it's easier to scratch. But also because, these dogs, their eyes are a little bit further out, sometimes they can dry out a little bit, and that makes them more prone again to getting ulcers, sometimes for no known reason. There's no history of trauma or anything like that. And it can just be the drying of the eye can cause it, and it can just be infection. So any dog, or particularly, any of those short-faced dogs with painful or red eyes, get them into the vet straight away. And again, because those the dogs with the shorter faces, because they're more prone to ulcers, they can take longer and they can be harder to treat. So these dogs, we really want to be picking these up early. As soon as you see any tearing or pain in the eye, they need to be treated straight away. And then another very common condition is conjunctivitis. So I'd say I see conjunctivitis numerous times per day. So this is mainly discharge from the eyes. It can be a cloudy or a yellow or greenish discharge. And again, you can have squinting or blinking with this, and redness of the pink part of the eye can become quite red and swollen and can look quite angry. And it can often involve both eyes, especially if it's kind of viral in cause. But sometimes it can just be one eye, depending on the condition. And then it can occur alongside other things, like you can have sneezing and nasal discharge or coughing. So again, that's a poorly dog that needs to be checked out. So they're kind of a lot of the main ones. Sometimes little dogs, their tear ducts can get blocked. So then we get an overflow of tears. And this can cause discomfort because it can cause kind of wetness of the skin under the eyes. So we want to get that looked at. Obviously, you can have trauma to the eye from blunt trauma, running into things, or, irritation from foreign bodies, or even stuff like smoke damage or inhalation, or environmental pollutants can cause damage to the eye. Very, very important. Another really common condition that a lot of people will be familiar with is dry eye. So this is actually an autoimmune condition where the dog's immune system, it attacks the gland in the eye that produces tears and stops those tears being produced. Now, this is a very painful condition, and my own dog actually has this condition, so I'm very familiar with it. I have a Cavalier King Charles, and they're kind of well known they're kind of the poster boy for this condition, unfortunately. So a lot of them have it, and this means that the eyes are completely dry and there's no tears being produced. So it's a very uncomfortable condition. And this can lead on to much more serious further issues like severe corneal ulceration and permanent scarring to the surface of the eye. So really important to get that checked out. It often starts with pain in the eye, but sometimes it can just be a mucus coming from the eyes every day. And then we check the tear production and we see that it's decreased, and then we can treat it from there. But that's another one. You want to pick that up early because it's totally treatable. And we don't want our dogs to go around with dry, uncomfortable eyes at all. No one wants that for their dogs. And then obviously another common thing is cataracts. So we've a lot of people come in, concerned that their dog's eyes are kind of gone grey in colour. So there's a couple of different types of cataracts. The first type is just old age cataract. So the technical name for this is nuclear sclerosis. And this is where a cataract starts to form just on the outside of the lens and it starts moving inwards. So you might notice if you have an older dog that their central vision is still quite good. They can follow a ball if you throw it, but sometimes if the ball goes out to the side, they mightn't be able to see it. So, or sometimes if you approach them from the side, they might notice you as quickly, or they might bump into something if you move a table and it's in their peripheral vision. They might notice that it's been moved and they might bump into it. So their peripheral vision, their side-on vision is reducing because that cataract is just on the outside of the lens. But their central vision is still quite good. And that's just a slowly progressive old age change. Like ourselves, our eyes, your eyesight deteriorates with age. So that's one type. But I suppose if you do notice a sudden onset of cataract, if you notice your dog's eyes, one or both eyes suddenly going white, that needs to be looked at because that can be a sign of other things, one of the main kind of issues being diabetes. Diabetes causes cataracts in dogs. So if you do notice your dog's eyes suddenly going white, please drop them in and we'll have a look at them. And we might need to do some blood tests to diagnose that. And then another one, I suppose, would be glaucoma. So I think a lot of people would be familiar with glaucoma. And this is where kind of the pressures inside the eye increase. This can be for a number of different reasons. But if you do notice your dog has kind of one eye looks bigger than the other or is bulging or painful, we might need to have a look at that. And sometimes you need to be referred again to our local ophthalmologist to have those pressures measured and managed. And I suppose then you're talking then just outside the eye, a lot of people are very worried about tear staining. So some of our kind of whiter dogs, you notice brown staining along the inside of their nose caused by tears. So first of all, excessive tearing can be a sign of an eye problem. So make sure get the eyes checked out. And then some dogs have permanently blocked tear ducts and the tears overflow. And I never worry too much about that because at least they're producing tears and the eyes are comfortable, but obviously there's the overflow of tears. And that can just be treated sometimes just with daily cleaning of the skin under the eyes. And if it's just that the tears are staining the eyes, but there's no, painful issue or anything, it can purely be an aesthetic issue. And sometimes just using, your regular eye washes to clean the skin daily can really help to remove the staining. Or recently it's been found that sometimes using a dermatological specific diet can help to reduce the brown staining on the face. And people are really happy with that. Then a lot of people don't really like the brown staining. So that can really help. So I suppose we've covered a lot there now with kind of common conditions, kind of a whistle-stop tour of common conditions that I tend to see every week. And then I suppose we might just do a little quick bit of advice just on general terms of how to kind of look out for your dog's eyes. So checking your dog's eyes should be part of their regular grooming routine. Their eyes should be clear and moist and bright, and they should react to light. There shouldn't be any dirt or debris around the eyes. Certainly shouldn't see any discharge from the eyes. There shouldn't be redness. And the white part of the eye should be white. It shouldn't be red or yellow. So, if you saw yellow, if the whites of their eyes turn yellow, definitely get them in to have a look at us, or for us to have a look at them even. And then I suppose both eyes should look similar. So there should be symmetry across the two eyes. They should look similar in size and colour. It would be a good idea, to keep hair out of your dog's eyes. If you've got a dog with long hair, keep, when they get groomed out, if they can trim the hair back just to avoid hair going into the eyes and causing irritation. If you do need to clean your dog's eyes and remove any mucus or anything, to use like proper sterile eye wash or else boiled water cooled back. Please don't use salt water, on or around doggy's eyes. If you do wash your dog regularly in the bath or anything like that, and you're using shampoos, just avoid the head and avoid the eyes and ears. Just do neck down. Some of the shampoos can irritate the eyes and cause conjunctivitis. Keeping nails trimmed is good. You don't want. I know I've seen some dogs. They might get a mild conjunctivitis, and then they use their dew claw to scratch their eyes, and then they cause bigger problems, like we were saying with the corneal ulcers. And then just, I suppose, not to let your dog hang their head out the window of the car. Thankfully, it is becoming less common. We don't see it as much anymore. But yeah, hanging their head out. Well, they love hanging their head out the window. It might be fun, but it's just not safe. It can put their general safety at risk. But it makes their eyes very vulnerable to bugs and dirt and debris, again, leading to infections and can go on to cause serious eye problems. So I suppose if your dog is squinting, closing their eye, rubbing at it, pawing at it, rubbing their eye across the couch or the carpet, or you see redness or any kind of discharge, this is a sign that there's something going on and we need to get it checked out. And your vet will do a full ocular exam, stay in the eye, measure the tears, look into the eye, look at the surface of the eye and the back of the eye, and see, can we figure out what's going on. Sometimes it can be a bit of a puzzle, but we'll figure it out, we'll get to the bottom of it, and then we'll treat it and get your dog much more comfortable. So any changes, give your vet a little ring, book in. Even minor eye things can be an early sign of a future problem. So it is best to be safe and get it looked at.
Wonderful, Ashleigh. And I just want to ask you one question there. You mentioned about cataracts. And I'd be familiar with cataracts because my father himself actually has had cataracts removed by laser. How close are we to those type of medical advances in dogs in treating eye problems?
So we're very lucky. We cataracts are removable in dogs and certain types of cataracts. We are very lucky where we're located. We have an ophthalmologist quite close to us, and she will do cataract removal. Now, it depends on the type of cataract, but this can bring great, a whole new lease of life for dogs. Some dogs are diabetics quite early in life and they get bilateral cataracts, so cataracts in both eyes. And quite often owners are brilliant and they'll go and have those cataracts removed in one or both eyes, and it gives the dog back their vision. So no, we that is possible in dogs. So we're very lucky.
Fantastic. Well, look, we'll leave it there for today. Once again, thank you so much for all your wonderful information again this evening. And we'll have you on again next week to talk about ear conditions.
Brilliant. Can't wait. Thanks, Sarah.
Do you have a pet in need of a vet, or do you need some health advice for your four-legged friend? Whether it's for a regular checkup, microchipping, vaccinations, or critical urgent care, you can rest assured knowing that your pet is in loving hands at Treaty Veterinary Clinic, Limerick and Shannon. Providing care for your pet since 1986, at Treaty Vets, your pet is our priority. Call our 24-hour number 061 328 511 or make an appointment through our website www.treatyveterinaryclinic.com or find us on Facebook or Instagram, Treaty Veterinary Clinic, proud sponsors of the Health Hub on the Big Bark.
Big thanks again there to Ashleigh Bugler, Dr. Ashleigh Bugler, for joining us from Treaty Vets. Talk all about your doggy's eyes and some really insightful, good, helpful information that Ashleigh provided us with there. And Ashleigh will be back next week to chat with us all about doggy's ears. And the following week then she'll be chatting about Halloween, because we'll be very close to Halloween. And speaking of Halloween, we will have like I said, Dr. Ashleigh Bugler in 2 weeks talk about it. But today we have Samantha Rawson from the Canine College joining us shortly. And Samantha will be chatting to us about, I suppose, from a training behaviour kind of standpoint, how to prep your dog in the run-up to Halloween. Now, I suppose something I've been thinking of doing, and I will put out a feed on Instagram and on TikTok during the week here. Just wondering how many people would love to see a Halloween competition. So if you have any doggies that you like to dress up for Halloween, I know perfectly myself, I don't like to dress my own dogs up because, well, Bruno and Millie, I'll be straight honest, we can't get costumes to fit them. Sorry, Burns, don't mean to be mean. And Roxy, well, she doesn't need a costume because she's a demon every day of the week. So it's just Halloween every day of the week for her. She's just such a devil. So I might put devil horns on her, actually. That would be a good one. So, power feeder during the week, so we'll see how many people are interested in doing a Halloween competition. We'll have a nice little prize up for grabs. Again, don't have the details of it yet, but I'll let you all know in probably later this week, early next week. So speaking of Halloween, like I said, we have coming up next, we have Samantha Rawson from the Canine College joining us to chat to us all about prepping your dog for Halloween. So we will be right back and we'll be chatting to Samantha right after this.
Clever Canines on the Big Barrack is brought to you by the Canine College, run by champion dog trainer Samantha Rawson, a regular contributor to RTE radio and television. Samantha is a certified canine behaviour consultant, and with 30 years experience in the field, she has the knowledge and understanding to help any dog. Our services include individual dog training from basic to competition standard, assessments and behaviour consultations. The Canine College is set on 5 acres with a secure paddock and an indoor classroom. See thecaninecollege.ie or find us on Facebook for more information.
So, it's the 2nd of October, and that means that very soon we are approaching spooky season. So, we'll be talking a bit more later on about what we're going to be doing for a Halloween special. But given that we're into October now, you have all your bangers, your fireworks, you have, like, I suppose, all these dangers, like different foods, like fruitcakes and stuff like that. They are probably toxic for dogs because of the raisins and all. And we have all that kind of stuff coming up here now in October. So we wanted to bring in champion dog trainer Samantha Rawson back to the show to chat a bit about how to kind of, I suppose, prepare and how to be safe in the run up to Halloween. Samantha, big welcome back to the Big Bark.
Hi, Dara. Talking about Big Bark, my dogs have just started. You can probably hear them there in the background.
I can. I have shipped Roxy, Bruno and Millie off to Dad while we're recording this here. So she's getting the run of the back lawn at the moment, so she's happy out. But, okay, so like I said, we're the first week of October now. So as you know yourself, this is time where you have like all the fireworks starting to go off, the bangers starting to go off. And like loads of other things that dogs would be sensitive to. You have like the likes of people getting their ban brack, which again with the raisins there wouldn't be great for dogs, would be very toxic for dogs. So you have all these, I suppose, dangers for dogs. So talk to us a bit, give us a bit about a bit of advice about how to, I suppose, keep your dog safe in the run up to Halloween.
Okay, so the first thing to say is keep your dog on a lead. Because if a dog gets a fright, it will bolt. You could have an obedience champion 2023. It will bolt. If it gets a fright, it will bolt. It will run for cover. So I personally wouldn't let dogs off the lead around this time of year. The same advice goes if there's storms predicted. You know, if the Met Éireann put out a storm warning or bad weather, same thing. I wouldn't let the dog off the lead. So from a safety point of view, keep the dog on a lead, make sure they are identified. So not only are they microchipped, but they are also wearing an identity disc with your surname and phone number on it. I never put a dog's name on an identity disc, just my phone number. And with that phone number, we spoke about it way back in holiday season, but I also put the international code on the phone number. So my dogs wear a disc with the landline on one side and my mobile on the other, but the international prefix is always on the identity disc as well. The other thing to kind of consider is that if your dog gets a fright, it could get a fright by fireworks, it could get a fright from the bang, it could get a fright from the smell. So if your dog gets a fright, remember that all its senses have been alerted. So it might then remember the sight of a firework. It might remember the smell of a firework. It might remember the sound of a firework. So in a couple of months' time, when there are no fireworks, the dog could suddenly kind of go into fear mode or panic mode. And it could be something as simple as the dog smells something similar to the smell of a banger or a firework. So it's not just about what they hear or what they see. It's all of their senses, including their sense of smell. The other thing about bangs is dogs are very attuned to vibration. So sometimes a dog will get fearful in an environment and the owner can't see what the dog is fearful of, but it could even be something like a vibration. So just because you're not aware of it doesn't mean that there's nothing to be frightened of. So dogs have an incredibly attuned sense of hearing. They have an incredible sense of smell, and they can sense vibrations well before we do. So with some particular breeds of dogs, they have more sensitive hearing than others. So if you think about a collie or a working sheepdog, they are bred to hear sound at a great distance. So if you think of a working collie on a farm, you know, he could be sensitive to sound that's, you know, a couple of miles away. So any dog that has sound sensitivity issues, like the collies, the shepherds, any dogs with kind of, you know, pointed ears that are bred to be alert, those dogs are more prone to sound sensitivity than the dogs like the spaniels, the labradors, the gun dogs. Dogs with flappy ears tend to have, they do have sound sensitivity, but not to the same degree. But their sense of smell would be stronger. So if they got a fright from a firework, they could be very attuned to the smell of that firework. So think about your breed. Again, the last time we were talking about knowledge of your breed and being aware of it. So think about all of their senses when you're thinking about what your dog might be frightened of. And try and have a think about what your dog was bred for. And that might then also help to explain their behavior and why they might be fearful in certain situations. So certainly around Halloween, I just wouldn't let them off the lead at all. And certainly don't let them off the lead in a strange area. At least, God forbid, if you let the dog off a lead and it was in a familiar area, it'll probably bolt home. And please God, it doesn't have to pass traffic if that happens. But the other thing is that if you do lose your dog and say you're, in a woods or a park, dogs will invariably come back to where the car was parked. So if you can leave the car there, or if your dog is lost, leave a blanket or something with the family scent on it. So if you can't leave the car there, leave the dog's bed or a blanket with the family scent, because they will invariably go back to where the car is usually parked. And the other thing that I say to people as well is try and always park your car in the same place. So if you're going to let your dog off the lead, so say if you say to me, God, Samantha, there's no way I have to let this dog off the lead. He needs a gallop. Well, then try and go to somewhere familiar and park the car in somewhere familiar that, God forbid, the dog does bolt. It'll come back to that place when it feels safe. But make sure that their microchip is up to date and make sure they're wearing a collar and disc with your phone number clearly identifiable on it.
All right. Okay. So I suppose in the run up then to like Halloween Eve, obviously there's one thing that you have every year, and that's trick-or-treaters. They call to doors, and like, look, some of them, I suppose, don't get the idea if you don't open the door to them or anything, which me, I have a perfect solution. I have a sign up outside saying trespassers will be shot, survivors will be shot again. So that kind of like scares the kids off anyway. Don't even own a gun or anything like, so just for clarification there. But like, some of them will be banging down the front door. It's happened in years gone by and scare the dogs. So what would kind of be your advice for dealing with, I suppose, visitors on Halloween Eve?
I would tend to leave the lights off. So if you leave the lights off and they think there's nobody home, they're less likely to come and knock on the door. If it's possible to lock the gate, so if you have a gate, I would put a lock on the gate. So that really says, I'm not interested, go away. I would also, God forbid, it's a horrible thing to think, but I would seal up the letterbox that, God forbid, somebody thinks it's a great crack to drop a banger in the letterbox. There are some kids out there who enjoy being cruel to animals. I mean, it's a horrible thing, but some of them do get a great kick out of being cruel to animals. So I would seal up the letterbox, and I would certainly close the curtains, turn off the lights, and kind of say, you're not engaging, please don't call to this house. The other thing I would say is don't leave your dogs in the back garden. So don't leave them outside unattended. So, for the duration of the couple of weeks, I would leave the dog inside if it's unattended, if I have to go to work or go to the shops or whatever. I certainly wouldn't leave a dog outside. The other thing is now the type of listener that listens to us, Dara, are dog lovers. But in the country, people do sometimes chain up dogs or tie up dogs. I would certainly never leave a dog tied up unattended, ever. Because again, if a dog gets a fright, he will try and bolt, and some dogs will actually kill themselves trying to escape from a frightening situation. So I would never, ever, ever tie a dog up. It's not something I would do anyway. But I certainly wouldn't tie a dog up and leave it unattended, because it will kill itself. So keep them inside, keep them identified, turn up the music, close the curtains, and just try and be with them, stay with them. The other thing for me is that when a dog is frightened, the rules don't apply. So maybe in your household, the dogs aren't allowed upstairs. If they're frightened, I'd let them go upstairs. I'd let them go wherever they want to feel safe. So when a dog is fearful, the rules can't apply, and I wouldn't expect them to be obedient or to listen to commands. Dogs can't listen to commands when they're frightened. So my other rule is, when a dog is frightened, the rules don't apply.
Yeah, 100% agree on that. And okay, let's go back to talking there about like keeping them inside. Obviously, Halloween, a lot of people have like the Halloween decorations up, and then you have Christmas decorations, like the tree and all going up.
Yeah.
And so it's getting into that time of year where there's a lot of, I suppose, hazards inside the house, where you have like the sweet treats as well, like chocolate, especially now for Halloween, and sweets and monkey nuts, and like I said earlier, barmbrack. But then you're going into like the Christmas season, where you have your boxes of celebrations, your boxes of like roses, and like just all these, I suppose, hazardous foods and items around the house. What would be your advice there to people?
I would lock all the goodies away, or else lock the dogs away. So the dogs can't be in the same room as the goodies. So I suppose you have to make a choice. If you want the dog with you and you want to try and console the dog and keep them safe, and they're with you, well, then you can't have the goodies in the room with you. So it's either the dogs are locked away from the goodies, or the goodies are locked away from the dog. So as you say there, it's chocolates, raisins, anything, any cake that has raisins or sultanas in it is highly dangerous. Pure chocolate is highly dangerous. Onions, garlic, you mentioned nuts there. Nuts, dogs can choke on nuts the same as children can. So nuts can be extremely dangerous. And then the other thing that's extremely dangerous around dogs is alcohol, because people who imbibe alcohol change. Their behavior changes and they smell differently. So even though a dog might know somebody and be familiar with them, they become a stranger when that person has taken alcohol. An awful lot of people will get bitten by a dog when they have drink on board, because the dog doesn't recognize them, because they behave differently, they sound different, and they smell different. So really, really, really dangerous to have people who have a couple of drinks on board around a dog. So be mindful of that one as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like, look, we'd often have, like, say, maybe not often, but maybe once a week, have a glass of wine with dinner or something. But we'd always kind of keep at the table. We wouldn't ever, like, really have it around the dogs themselves. Yeah. Like, look, Bruno and Millie have always, I suppose, been grand, but, like, Roxy's still young, and, like, she's still kind of used to, like you said there, she's used to our behaviour during the day, and, like, during, like, say, if you didn't have a few drinks, but she'd probably pick up on it fairly quickly as well. Like if you did have a couple of drinks aboard, like pups are very intuitive like that.
Yeah, but that's because they know you. It's what I mean is about friends or people who come into the house.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So I would always tend to keep anybody who has a drink on board away from my dogs, or I'll put the dogs away. So if there's a couple of drinks being had and it's party time, fine, no problem with that. Just keep the dogs away from your visitors.
Yeah, it is interesting that you say that, because we did have friends of ours over a number of years ago for New Year's. I'd say it was about 4. It was pre-COVID anyway. And like one of them, like Bruno was grand with her. The other fella then, like when he was kind of, I suppose, make a bit of an idiot of himself. You could tell Bruno was very uncomfortable. Millie just loves everyone, but Bruno was like just uncomfortable. He went into the room as well, just to stay away from them, and they had a child as well that just kind of kept going in and annoying. And I was kind of like, would you just stop? Yeah. Like not only are they annoying the dog, they kind of like start to annoy you then, and it's like you're wondering why do I even invite people over?
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes the bedroom is the safest place for the dog to be, because usually visitors don't go into our bedrooms. Do you know what I mean? Usually our bedrooms are off limits.
Yeah.
So that's where I would kind of put the dog. If there were people around, I would put the dog in the bedroom, because hopefully, people have enough manners not to go into somebody's bedroom.
You'd think so. You
would hope so, wouldn't you?
You'd hope so, wouldn't you? Well, okay, so look, your top tips, so obviously, like, make sure your dog's on a lead if you're out and about, and just make sure that you don't have them, like, anywhere near, like, bangers could go off. And
if they're at home, Dara, again, I know you talk to treaty vets, but if they're at home, Adaptil diffusers, these plug-in diffusers from Adaptil.
Yeah.
You can also get anxiety jackets these days. I've never used an anxiety jacket, so I don't know whether they work or not. But certainly if your dog is really traumatized, it would be no harm to talk to the vet and see what the vet can do to help. Yeah,
we actually have one of the Pet Remedy diffusers that you get over in Pet Stop, and we find it fairly good.
Yeah, so it's no harm to anything that'll help the dog over that period. It's no harm.
Exactly. All right, look, Samantha, thanks for all your advice there, and we're going to leave it there for today, and we'll have you back again for another episode of Clever Canines next week.
Great. Thanks, Dara.
Clever Canines on the Big Bark is brought to you by the Canine College, run by champion dog trainer Samantha Rawson, a regular contributor to RTÉ radio and television. Samantha is a certified canine behaviour consultant, and with 30 years experience in the field, she has the knowledge and understanding to help any dog. Our services include individual dog training from basic to competition standards, assessments and behaviour consultations. The Canine College is set on 5 acres with a secure paddock and an indoor classroom. See thecaninecollege.ie or find us on Facebook for more information.
And that is pretty much all the time we have today. So just a couple of reminders, I suppose. We do have our Santa Paws, I Believe in Santa Paws campaign running at the moment. Be sure to check that out at santapaws.thebigbark.ie. Get your images in before the 25th of October. That's the cut-off date, because I have to start then designing the calendars, which will take about a week, and then get them printed. So we hope to be distributing the calendars to anyone who's pre-ordered by the second week in November. So people will get their calendars nice and early in advance. Reminder that calendar prices start at €10 for pre-orders. They will go up on the 1st of November. And postage is $3.95 and upwards depending on how many calendars you actually order. So, unfortunately, postage costs have gone up this year, so gonna have to add on. Sorry, lads. Because otherwise taking the hit, and it means less money for our lovely friends in the Haven Rescue and DSPCA. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Roxy has given me the last couple of minutes anyway to take this part of the ending of the podcast to get it done. She doesn't exactly really give me much chance to do anything around here, because she's a little absolute devil of a dog. Anyway, until next week, I suppose. Give your dogs lots of hugs, and follow us on socials, on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, the Big Bear Podcast, and I think actually TikTok is Big Bear Podcast Official. I'm not really sure on the handle. I started using that lately. I believe, Big Bear Podcast Official, that's the one. And you'll find lots of behind the scenes videos, like Roxy being your whole devil kind of stuff going on there, being a complete crazy puppy. A very good one that we bought. Actually, we used BB Rex's Crazy song as the backing for Roxy's Crazy video. Might need to do a few edits to that video, I don't know. In the meantime, though, everyone, follow us online and have a great week, and we'll chat to you next week.
It's the Big Bark with the latest of the canines. The Big Bark, all the doggiest of headlines. With your hosts, Dara, Millie, Roxy and Bruno. They're the kind of dogs that you know.
It's time to talk about health, nutrition, training, talk with canine professionals, owners and dogs.
It's the Big Bark, the Big